You feel like you worked all month. Tracked honestly, you executed for 11 hours. The other 149 hours you can account for, they just weren't building. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 1:3:6 ratio, execution to meetings to research, that runs under almost every stalled solo founder's month. You'll see why the audit feels brutal, not because it's harsh, but because it's accurate. You won't get a pep talk, you'll get the math, the mechanism, and a 15-minute setup that makes the ratio impossible to hide from next month. The reason you've avoided this audit is the reason you need it. Here's the anatomy. A solo founder ends the month exhausted. They felt busy every day. They check their bank account, their MRR, their shipped features, and the numbers don't match the exhaustion. The gap between effort felt and output shipped is the entire problem of solo building, and almost nobody measures it honestly because the measurement itself is the threat. When founders actually run time tracking software for 30 days, not estimate, track, 3 categories dominate. Execution, building, writing, shipping, meetings, calls, DMs, coffees, quick chats. Research, reading, tabs, tutorials, competitor stalking, Twitter framed as learning. The ratio that shows up over and over in tracked data is roughly 1 to 3 to 6. For every hour shipped, 3 hours talking about shipping, 6 hours preparing to ship. The pattern is invisible from the inside for one reason. All 3 categories feel like work. Reading a competitor breakdown feels like work. A founder call feels like work. Planning the architecture feels like work. The brain doesn't separate them. The bank account does. The shipped repo does. The unsent email to customers does. Your calendar shows a full month. Your output shows 11 hours. Both are true. Only one pays. The reason most solo founders never run a real-time audit isn't laziness, it's accuracy avoidance. A vague sense of "I worked hard this month" is psychologically survivable. A spreadsheet showing 11 hours of execution against 32 hours of discovery calls is not, so the audit stays unrun, the story stays intact, the month repeats. The mechanism is simple. Untracked time defaults to flattering self-report. Tracked time defaults to the truth. The gap between those two numbers is where your runway disappears. Rescue Time's aggregate data across knowledge workers shows under 3 hours of focused work per 8-hour day, average. Solo founders score worse, not better, because they have no boss filtering their day. If you've never run a 30-day time audit on yourself, this is why. You already know what it would show. Micro lesson: install a passive tracker today. Not a Pomodoro timer you have to start. A passive one, Rescue Time, Rise, Activity Watch, that logs whether you wanted it to or not. The point is to remove your permission from the data. Execution is the only one that compounds into revenue. Meetings compound into relationships, sometimes into deals, mostly into nothing. Research compounds into competence that may or may not get used. Yet in tracked data, the average solo founder spends 6 times more on research than on execution. A typical week looks like this. Monday morning, read 3 Substacks for market research. Tuesday, 2 founder calls. Wednesday, build for 90 minutes. Then quickly, look up an API doc, end up reading Hacker News for 40. Thursday, write a roadmap doc no customer will ever see. Friday, feel behind, schedule a call to get unstuck. Ratio for the week, roughly 1:3:6, output shipped, a CSS change. Micro lesson, tag every calendar block with one of 3 labels. Exec, meet, RSRCH, no 4th category. Planning is RSRCH. Strategy is RSRCH. The forced choice taxonomy is the diagnostic. A meeting feels like progress because someone else witnessed you working. Output didn't move. Witnesses confirm effort. The receipt for the meeting is the meeting itself. This is why founder call calendars stay full even when products stay dead. The mechanism: meetings produce social proof of work without producing work. They also produce reciprocity debt. Every call you take is a call you owe back. Y Combinator's most repeated piece of advice to early founders is talk to users, and it gets distorted into fill your calendar with anyone who will talk to you. 5 user interviews a week is research, 22 coffee chats with other founders is theater. Micro lesson, cap external calls at 4 per week, hard limit configured in Calendly, not a goal. A setting, reduce your bookable hours to 4 slots, total, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons only. The slots that don't exist can't be filled. Reading about your problem is not solving your problem. The brain rewards research with the same dopamine it would reward execution with at a fraction of the difficulty, so the loop self-reinforces. You read a thread about pricing, you feel smarter, you don't change your price. Cal Newport's work on deep work shows the same pattern in academic settings. Knowledge workers consistently overestimate input time, time spent ingesting information, as if it were equivalent to output time. It isn't. Output is the only thing that ships. Customers pay for output, not for the founder's reading list. If you have a research folder with more than 10 unread tabs right now, you're not preparing. You're hiding. Micro lesson: set a daily research cap. 30 minutes, timer enforced, one specific question per session. When the timer ends, the tabs close. The question either got answered or it gets re-asked tomorrow. Open-ended research time is the leak. Here's what nobody says. 11 hours of real execution in a month, if those 11 hours were the right 11 hours, is enough to move most solo projects forward visibly. 11 focused hours can ship a feature, send a launch email, run a pricing test. The reason most months feel wasted isn't the 11 hours, it's the 149 hours you spent feeling like you were working, which means you'll do the same thing next month. The audit doesn't tell you to work more, it tells you to stop lying to yourself about what you already did. Stripe's data on solo founders, Indie Hacker public revenue logs, YC postmortems, they all converge on the same finding. The founders who ship are not the ones who work more hours. They're the ones who count their hours honestly and protect the executing ones. Micro lesson: at the end of every week, write one number in a notes file. Exec hours that week. No commentary, no goal, just the number. The number itself does the work. Here is the synthesis. You felt like you worked all month. You executed for a fraction of it. The other time was real. Meetings happened, tabs were read, docs were drafted, but it wasn't building. The 1:3:6 ratio isn't a moral failure, it's an architecture problem, and until you measure it, you can't change it. The audit is uncomfortable because it's accurate. That's also exactly why it works. The 3-step protocol, 15 minutes tomorrow morning. 1. Install Rescue Time or Rise Today and let it run passively in the background. No manual starts, no opt-in per session. 2. Configure your Calendly to 4 total bookable slots per week, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons only. Close the other slots at the settings level so they cannot be requested. 3. Create a plain text file called exechours.txt and schedule a recurring Friday 5 p.m. calendar block, 15 minutes, to write one number in it, your executing hours for that week. That's it. No discipline required, no motivation required. The tracker tracks whether you feel like it or not. The Calendly cap holds whether you respect it or not. The Friday number gets written whether the week was good or not. You didn't have an execution problem, you had a measurement gap. Close the gap and the ratio changes on its own. If this landed, subscribe. New script every week, same approach, math, mechanism, no pep talk. Next video, why the second project you started 3 weeks ago is statistically the one that will kill the first one, and how the parallel project tax actually compounds on a solo team of 1. If you want a daily forcing function that surfaces this exact